friendship that'll never ever end.
Run!
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Reaction being the 713. In that neighborhood, my brothers and sisters, as we proceed to give you what you need, we are going back to Nexpo. Back to Nexpo, y'all. I think it has been over a year ago since I last watched a video from Nexpo. But for some reason, this video just keep popping up on my algorithm. You know what I'm saying? Keep popping up and I recommend it. And then I think it was somebody who had left a comment suggesting that I react to this video. So that's what we're about to do. And the title of it is The Darkest Lost Media, Volume 3. I don't know what we're about to get into, Bean Team, but I'm excited to get into it. But before we get into it, y'all know what y'all got to do. Get whatever you may need. Get what you need, please. We are back to Nexpo for the second time. Y'all got what y'all need. Y'all ready to go? Then let's go.
I desire Heavenly Father's Spirit to be the teacher of thy sake, taught in only the Father truth, as in heaven. For we tell that before us, Father, that we will learn all things by the Spirit of God, that we don't want to fail.
No, that part right there just gave me Coke vibes once again, Bean Team. We just was talking about the Zizzians yesterday on Mike from that chapter reaction. Now it look like we got another coat on our hand. It giving me Jim Jones vibes, the Jonestown vibes. You know, you freaking know. Let's go. Get whatever you may need.
March 21st, 1997. History of the Prophet Joseph Smith. In 5th through 8th grade class. How anxious I am for Heavenly Father's Spirit to touch your minds and hearts. For what the Prophet Joseph Smith did was right.
Hailing from a tiny Utah town called Short Creek was a cult, the Fundamentalist Church of Latter-day Saints, or FLDS for short. Most recently run under the grasp of a man named Warren Jeffs, they operated completely under the radar for the better part of the past century. For years, Jeffs and his predecessors maintained strict control over their members, preaching the central idea that plural marriages were not only a God-given right, but were the only way for members to access the kingdom of heaven. He was known to call himself the Prophet, the only member of the church who could talk to God. And if God told him that you should marry someone, you wouldn't go against his will, would you?
Hell yeah, I'll go against his goddamn will. The freak!
Wife after wife after wife, the prophet would arrange to wed, not only for the adult men inside the church, but most prominently for himself. Tens, hundreds of women were used as pawns, tickets that they believed would grant them eternal salvation. And as you'd expect, their ages were never considered.
Oh.
Inside the FLDS, hundreds of children were born through underage mothers, forced into arranged marriages with men upwards of 85 years of age. And all of them wholeheartedly believed that they were carrying out the will of God.
God damn, Nexpo, you taking me too fast with this one, Being Team. He taking us too fast, man. I'm getting teary-eyed. Like, seriously, man. Hold up, man. Hold up, man. And this go back to what I've been talking about lately, Being Team. It's so many freaking cults out there, but it seems like by now I will have heard of this crazy ass shit. I had to go and let the cussing come out early in this one, Being Team. It seemed like I would have been heard of this freaking craziness, man. Are you serious, dude? It also reminds me of This Is Grandpa. This is another This Is Grandpa case right here too from Nick Crowley. Shout out to our boy Nick Crowley. If you freaking know, you freaking know. Let's go.
The story of the FLDS is one of the darkest I know, and they, too, have troves of media both destroyed and sealed away. We will be diving into the full story of the FLDS very soon. However, they're not fully the reason we're here tonight. In 2008, a game show premiered on Fox called The Moment of Truth. It involved contestants answering highly controversial and often abrasive questions in front of a live studio audience in exchange for an ever-growing grand prize. Prior to each episode, contestants would take a polygraph test to ensure the accuracy of their responses on stage. And I'm sure you can see how this could go downhill very quickly. Answer a highly personal, highly secret question correctly in front of the world, and the bag of cash dangling over your head grows ever more. Answer it wrong, however, and your affairs are exposed in front of thousands and are forever etched into broadcast history. In August of 2010, a contestant named Melanie Williams took the stage for the show's 9th episode of its 2nd season. Unlike those that competed before her, however, Melanie carried with her a dark, disturbing past.
Yeah.
While living in a polygamous community, did you know of any underage girls who were married to adult men?
Yeah.
That answer is true.
Wow.
But nothing could stop her dramatic climb to the top.
No, this show is crazy work, man. Like, seriously, this show messy as hell, and it's just exposing some shit that people should never let be exposed ever. But they doing it for the freaking money, man. Like, what the freak kind of questions is these to ask? It's some things I would never answer, Being Team. I don't care how much money you offer me. Well, I can't say that. You say about $1 million, I'll probably tell you my whole goddamn life. I'm just saying, man, this freaking show is nasty, y'all. This is crazy work.
As it turns out, Melanie Williams grew up inside the FLDS and witnessed firsthand the atrocities committed against the women and children within. To this day, Season 2, Episode 9, her debut, is completely scrubbed from existence, leaving us with only an archived trailer hinting at the inner details she revealed. Interestingly, even though Episode 9 is considered lost, Melanie actually returned for Episode 10, one that has been found in full. Within it, she takes the stage for a final $500,000 question, the grand prize of this show and something no contestant before her has ever been able to win. In the beginning, host Mark Wahlberg warns her of what she's about to be faced with, giving her an opportunity to opt out. However, after reading it and taking a moment to really let it sink in, she decides apprehensively that she's gonna do it.
I'm gonna do it for my dad. I'm gonna go for it.
You're going for it? Holy moly.
Are you okay?
It's a tough question, excuse me. But it's a tough question for me. It's a tough question. But I can do it.
Tearful and aware of what she's about to reveal, her father questions what could possibly be causing a reaction like this. She has, up to this point, aired out so much already. How much more really is there?
Okay, I'm just gonna throw some crazy shit out there, Bean Team, and it may not be the case. But what if the question is, have you and your father had sex before? Man, I'm done. If that's the question, y'all, oh my freaking God, I had to get in my Mr. Ballin bag with that. I'm not saying that is it, but that would be crazy as hell, man.
Yes?
Yeah, I'm going for it.
Okay. For $500,000, Melanie Williams. Question 21. Do you believe your father, as an adult, has ever had sexual relations with a minor?
Yes.
Wow.
That answer is true.
Wow. I mean, that question went no better than what I asked. If you just being 100, man, regardless if it was with her or any other little child out there, that shit still F the F up. I'm cussing so much in this one, Bean Team. I don't know, man. This is just crazy. We just started off on fire, and we gonna keep the fire going. That's crazy. Her knowing that her freaking father been effing around with little children. Ugh.
The audience erupts as Melanie sits, shocked at what she just unveiled to the world. Her father, equally stunned. And it all culminates in one of the strangest, most dystopian moments that I have ever seen on broadcast television. As the family embraces, Wahlberg questions her father about this illegal relationship, to which he completely downplays it.
All the time.
As part of that culture.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Let's hear what John
Yeah.
feels of that.
Gosh. I'm not sure when I did this, I knew what a minor was. It was a long time ago.
Okay.
Wife number 2 was 17. She had just gotten out of high school.
In January of 2011, over 4 months after this episode aired, Melanie Williams took to her personal blog to clear up any speculation about her time on the show. Within a post made on January 7th, she claims that her father had actually lied that night, that the girl wasn't 17 like he claimed. In reality, she was 14, and her name was Joy. As far as it's known, her father has neither been investigated nor charged since this aired, and there's been no further updates from Melanie herself. Even so, this broadcast is one of the strangest that I have ever watched, and I wouldn't be surprised if it contributed to the Moment of Truth's cancellation. Regardless of whether Season 2, Episode 9 is ever found, Melanie Williams successfully exposed the illegal atrocities committed by one of the world's darkest cults in front of thousands.
Yes.
A cult that has done everything in its power to keep its depraved history a secret. And a cult, the FLDS, who manipulated and abused women and children for over a century. All veiled under the will of God.
Like, just the fact that Nexpo said that this been going on for over a century, over a freaking 100 years, this freaking cult been doing this atrocity, being team, and using God name in vain on top of that, using God as the will of God. That's why these little children should confine and do everything that we tell them with these old nasty ass men. Let's freaking go.
We'll return after these messages.
Alright guys, before we continue, I'd like to tell you about...
Look at our boy Nexpo being team with his commercial. I think this a commercial. I hope it. Yeah, it is. Like, hey, I'm brand new over here on Nexpo, y'all. Like I said, I only watched one video from him before, and this one right here is most definitely making me think we're going to have to continue to come back now. Let me take it back right here. Let's go.
In the description below. Thank you so much to Saley for sponsoring tonight's video. Now let's get back to it.
Back to it.
When you're at Landmark number one, you're the one who's number
It's October 1999. Residents on the south end of Fort Worth, Texas, notice a certain smell lingering in the air. It's repugnant, nauseating, a pungent, pervasive odor of rot. The stench is inescapable, rapidly enveloping parks, homes, and businesses. Something in the area is festering, and it's carrying an inescapable wave of what can only be described as the smell of deteriorating flesh. Disgusted and worried, residents in the area contact authorities in the hopes that anyone can figure out what the hell is going on. This odor has come up so quickly. So where in the world is it coming from?
Just look for this green pea.
Check out this week's Green Price specials on all flavors of Jell-O frozen pudding pops.
For the sweetness of the grapes. At Ralph's, you expect this kind of quantity. One is...
It's like my mother always told me, get what you want, but get it at Wallbounds.
I know how good my quality meats taste, but you have to see how good Wallbounds prices look.
Resting at the corner of Hemphill and West Fogg Street in Fort Worth, Texas, sits an abandoned building. A grocery store called the Mexia Supermarket. Known to have been owned by a family from Laos, it served the surrounding neighborhood for years. But here, they were nowhere to be found. Their store is rotting, their home vacant, and it's like they up and left, leaving the only remnants of their existence. A neighborhood suffering from an inescapable smell, and a grocery store that's festering right under its own weight. Inside, rotting deli and meat discolored as bacteria consumed it. Produce began to wither and emit hazardous gas. Frozen goods and milk exploded due to an uncontrolled fermentation inside them. And the air inside, unbreathable, as the oxygen was completely depleted.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it smelled. I like that smell that's going on in there with all that shit, goddamn mold and the mildew and just the freaking spoilness of the milk. I'm pretty sure the smell was crazy. But why the freak would they just abandon the store and leave everything in there? Are these people missing or are they dead? You know what I'm saying, man? Did they voluntarily leave or did somebody take them? This is strange as hell. Like, look at just think about the money that they throwing away by just abandoning their freaking store like that.
As you'd expect, the building, by the time it was found, was in a state of complete disrepair, as maggots, roaches, rats, and thousands of flies had nested within its crevices. The scene? Unreal. And all of this was the product of a building left to decay for nearly 3 months.
Damn.
In the following days, the Fort Worth Health Department officially declared the site as a health hazard, sparking a massive cleanup operation. But as they assessed the building, they realized that it would prove far more complicated than initially imagined. Because of the live rodents, millions of insects, and the buildup of hazardous gas, demolishing or burning the building down wasn't possible, as everything within it would simply migrate to the neighboring homes. And so, instead, a crew was hired to clean it by hand. Decked out in hazmat suits and oxygen tanks, they were tasked with bagging and removing the rotten food, disinfecting every surface inside, and fumigating the premises, all while navigating through the millions of insects surrounding them. Reportedly, the initial scene was so infested with flies that cleanup crews couldn't even see more than a few feet in front of them. The cleanup efforts took nearly a month to complete, and by December, the building stood completely empty, yet still carrying a lingering odor of rot. Years later, it was eventually bought out and rebranded as a store called Terry's. However, according to a review left on Google, nearly 14 years after Mexia, the place, even still, reportedly smelled like death. All of the footage you've seen so far has been taken from a 2010 History Channel documentary called Life After People. And while it gives us an inside look at the conditions there, it's merely a small piece of this story. As it turns out, tons of news coverage was taken, showcasing both the interior and exterior of the building before the cleanup operation began. However, as of now, it stands completely inaccessible. According to an online user named The Hookup, the news coverage of Mexia depicted a scene so repulsive that the windows appeared blackened due to the millions of roaches and flies covering them. I did have dreams about this one neighborhood in Fort Worth that was due to a news story at the time. A supermarket in this one low-income area of town just closed one day. The images on the news are what gave me bad dreams. Windows blackened by millions of roaches, rats in swarms. The smell had to be apocalyptic. 2-month-old fish, 2-month-old carrots, pork, thousands upon thousands of rat droppings. I was obsessed with the story, hence why I dreamt about it, being in there. It still freaks me out.
That ish freaked me the elf out too, man. Can you imagine being up in that damn stove bean team with that chaos going on? I don't even know what word to use.
To this day, this 1 minute of video is the only known footage in existence depicting the absolute nightmare left behind inside Mexia supermarket. And as we've seen, while evidence of other archives are out there, they have seemingly been buried in the void of broadcast history. With attention to it growing day by day, perhaps someday more footage about this will emerge. However, as of now, this is all we have. And it just might stay that way for years to come.
Okay, but Nexpo ain't answer my question, Bean Team, or did I just miss it? Maybe I just missed it. Where are the freaking owners of this building? Long story short, story long, what happened to them? They just moved away? Like, even if they did just move away and just completely abandon the place, I feel like they should be held accountable for leaving it in that condition. You know what I'm saying, man? That's the story that I'm trying to figure out. That's the answers that I need right now. But like I said, maybe I missed it, man. Maybe one of y'all let me know in the comment section. Or maybe I'll go back and try to listen again after I get done with this reaction. For now, that ish was crazy, just knowing how effed up that store was when those people went in to clean it up. And I understand also the customers complaining when Terry's, you know, they reopened it and called it Terry's when another franchise or whoever bought it. Like, no, dude, you can't buy no damn store out there and been in that damn type of condition. It's still gonna smell like what the people said, death. It's gonna have that just stinking ass, spoiled ass, rotten ass, maggot infested rat shit everywhere smell to it. You know what I'm saying? You will never get rid of that stench. I digress, y'all. Let's keep going.
This is VH1.
Video Hits 1.
After waiting some considerable time to find a well-set-up gentleman, Megan was prepared to meet a man she could wind up spending the rest of her life with.
I'm nervous. I'm excited.
August 2nd, 2009. A reality show airs on VH1 starring a woman named Megan Hauserman. It's called Megan Wants a Millionaire, and it involves 18 suitors vying for her love by competing in challenges and trying to impress her with high-dollar dates. Out of every contestant on the show, a man named Ryan Jenkins had stood out to her. He was charming and witty, a trait so prevalent that the production team granted him the nickname Smooth Operator. Now, drama was, and still is, no stranger to reality TV, and Megan Wants a Millionaire was no different. With such a bombastic cast of rich men vying for a woman by primarily flaunting their wealth, I'm sure you can see how this fell into the junk food category of shows out there. Now, that's all completely fine, and nothing about Megan Wants a Millionaire was even that big of a deal. In fact, we wouldn't even be talking about this show today if it weren't for the fact that by the time this show was set to air its 4th episode, Ryan Jenkins' wife was dead.
Oh.
August 15th. Police are investigating a dumpster in Buena Park, California. Reportedly, a foul smell is emanating from it, yet it isn't the kind you'd expect. This isn't the smell of trash. It's not an animal. It's something else. A few moments later, they dig out a densely packed suitcase. And upon opening it, staring skyward is the mutilated, mangled body of a blonde female. Her teeth are gone, her fingers severed, and her clothing nowhere to be found. Immediately, the police open a case. They realize that whoever did this went out of their way to sever any identifying feature from her body. However, curiously, one still remained. You see, this woman had breast implants, and given that these carry their own serial numbers, it gave authorities a potential lead for identification. Even still, however, this woman was unrecognizable, ultimately leaving 3 pivotal questions to linger. Who was this? Who did this? And how in the world did she end up here? 12 hours later, authorities receive a phone call. It's from Ryan Jenkins, and he's pleading. His wife, an LA model named Jasmine Fiore, had reportedly up and vanished. He claims that the previous night, the two arrived back at their home in Los Angeles before she left to run errands. However, since then, nothing. Over the next
Sure, Ryan, sure. We really believe this story.
next 48 hours, the breast implants were verified to belong to Jasmine Fiore, and as a result, her husband Ryan Jenkins had become a person of interest in her murder. Yet, once they began looking into his movements over the few days prior, they realized that Jasmine Fiore, contrary to Ryan's testimony, had never arrived home. As it turns out, on the night of her death, the pair had gone to the La Berge Hotel in Del Mar, California for a poker tournament, and on CCTV, the pair can be seen arriving, getting settled in, and leaving. Oddly, however, at 4:30 in the morning on August 15th, just hours before Jasmine's body was uncovered, they discover a panicked Ryan Jenkins, yet he's completely alone. Jasmine, wherever they went, never returned with him. She was never seen alive again. Immediately, Jenkins becomes their lead suspect. However, tracking him down proved to be difficult. He went on the run, from their home in LA to Nevada, Nevada to Utah, Utah to Canada, and all of this was done in the span of just 2 days. Because
like, bro, you just making yourself look even more guilty by doing it. Like you going like not from city to city or from one state to one state. You done went from city to city to state to a whole nother country. You done went to freaking Canada, bro. You making yourself look like you did this, man. We all know you did it, my brother. Come on to this freaking jail cell and spend the rest of your freaking days here.
He was officially charged with the murder of Jasmine Fiore on August 20th. Yet, because he was evading arrest, he always seemed to be one step ahead. It wasn't until the morning of August 23rd when authorities would locate him at a motel called Thunderbird in Hope, Canada. However, their encounter wouldn't go at all as planned. That morning, Ryan Jenkins had never checked out. In fact, for the 3 days he was staying there, not a sound ever came from his room, and no one ever left. In reality, he had taken his own life.
Wow.
And inside his room, he awaited, hanging from the motel coat rack.
That's so trash though, Bean Team. Y'all know that ish get on my nerves when these freaking murderers end up taking their own life. Like, it's such a just cowardly way to go out. But like I always say, man, I always say it. God got them. Long story short, story long. You got to go meet your maker now. Your maker is not going to be happy with you taking one of his creations off of this freaking earth. Can I get an amen? Let's go.
Search for a reality show contestant charged with the first-degree killing of his ex-wife is finally over. Ryan Jenkins was found dead in a motel room in Canada yesterday, an apparent suicide. But officials say the investigation is far from over. Zuleika Nathu from the CBC.
Following his capture, VH1 had placed Megan Once a Millionaire on an indefinite hiatus, leaving episodes 4 to 6, the remainder of the season, never to air. After an internal investigation, it was found that Jenkins was charged with assault over 2 years prior to filming, something that should have restricted him from ever being allowed on TV. Even further, there were reportedly countless other contestants with charges as well, opening up the door to accusations that VH1 perhaps overlooked these in hopes of sowing drama and driving up ratings. For years, episodes 4 through 6 of Megan Once a Millionaire was unseen by anyone outside of the studio. However, in 2020, Megan herself released episodes 4 and 5 on her personal YouTube channel. Even still, though, the finale eludes the public, and given the controversy that took place, it's unlikely to ever be released. To this day, VH1 and the entire landscape of reality TV has felt the effects of this tragedy, yet nothing could ever compare to the grief the family of Jasmine Fiore underwent as they lost their loved one. According to Jasmine Fiore's mother, their relationship was never healthy. They were always fighting, always arguing about something, but never did she think that Ryan Jenkins would take the life of her daughter. Never did she think that he would leave her in the condition he did. It felt like a complete nightmare, yet it was painfully, agonizingly real. Megan Once a Millionaire, to this day, remains as an eerie look at the faces people put on for cameras. Yet once they're off and everyone inevitably returns home, we truly don't know any of them.
Facts.
Reality TV, they call it, even when it isn't reality at all.
And it's just crazy, man. Like Nexpo said, yeah, we think we know these people till they off the damn camera. We don't know what the hell they got going on in their life. You know what I'm saying, man? And it's also crazy. I never heard of Megan Wants a Millionaire. I never heard of that show. But when he first showed the first clip of one of the episodes, and I seen the house or the mansion, whatever you want to call it, I was looking like, is this Flavor of Love? Because if you know, Flavor of Love, y'all used to come on VH1 too, and it was a reality show featuring Flavor Flav, and he was trying to find girlfriends and stuff. And like I watched the first 2 seasons, man. Reality TV back then in them early 2000 being team, it was on another level, man. It was like some of the best things smoking out here. Like I said, if you know, you know. And I used to watch that. I used to watch Real World Road Rules over on MTV. I watched Making the Band on BET. No, that was on MTV too when it first came out. Yeah, man, it was good times back then. But all I'll say for this story is rest in peace to her. Like I said, I hate that he freaking end up ending his own life, but like I said, too, God got him, and he gonna get what he deserved one freaking way or another. But it's just like, wow, dude. And this another thing that just it's like it's one thing for you to kill her, but to do what you did to her, cutting her body up, mutilating her, throwing her up in a trash can and all that, like, man, some people just, it's like do the fact that you murdered her hit you while you sitting up there chopping her body up, or you just don't care at all? He just ain't care at all. Let's go. Good video. Good video.
And last week's number 1 down to number 2, Underworld from Ultimate.
It's late at night, and a conversation is playing out between 2 online users, InExcess00 and No1093. It's charged, inappropriate, a glance into the most depraved desires of the human psyche. This correspondence carries on for days. However, there's just one problem.
Hello?
Hey.
Hey, what are you doing?
Nothing. What are you doing?
Nothing at the moment.
Okay.
What are you doing?
Nothing.
Did you go get your other money?
Yes, I did.
Thank you.
Did you leave yet?
No.
You didn't leave yet?
No.
Are you going to come or not?
Yes, I shall.
Well, when are you going to come over?
Well, a little later.
A little later?
Yeah, is that all right?
Yeah, I guess.
Gee.
You're silly.
You're the silly one.
NXS00 in the real world is a 56-year-old man named Louis Conrad, and all throughout his chats and phone calls, he fully believes that he's conversing with a 13-year-old boy.
Wow.
November 11th, 2004. Dateline NBC airs a show that you just might have heard of. It's called To Catch a Predator, and in collaboration with police and a watchdog group named Perverted Justice, they performed sting operations around the country, luring in and exposing predators on national television. In July of 2006, the production team commenced a multi-month sting operation in the town of Murphy, Texas, for a proposed two-part special in the show's second season. Among those caught were a 54-year-old math teacher named Stanley Kendall, a 52-year-old oil drilling consultant named Randall Wolford, and a 56-year-old district attorney for Kaufman County, Texas, named Louis Conrad. Aside from the surprising number of high-profile individuals all living a secret life, Conrad starkly stood out among the others. For years, he climbed the ranks of the Texas legal system, contributing to the prosecution of countless criminals. Because of this, he carried an extensive knowledge of Texas law, something that the police and production team knew they'd have to carefully navigate if they were successfully to convict this guy. For his entire career, Conrad was well-liked and respected, they thought. So why in the world is he doing this?
Why? Like, why, dude? You one of the ones who out here supposed to be upholding the law and charging people or helping people get convicted for breaking the law, and you the one who breaking the freaking law too, man. Look at you. But I think I remember this one, y'all. Can't remember from who channel, but I've heard of this story before. But it's still crazy, man. Like, To Catch a Predator. That's another one being seen back in the day when I used to be watching TV heavily. You know what I'm saying? The early 2000s, way before all this other ish that we got nowadays to keep us entertained. That was another show I used to binge watch. Me and my homeboy, 12, 11, 1, 2, 3 in the morning, because they just used to come on back to back to back to back to back. And we just used to be tripping out like these old ass men sitting up here getting caught trying to meet up with these young girls and boys. Freaking crazy. And even to this day, it's still crazy to me. It'll never stop being crazy.
As the months carried on, the conversations between Louis Conrad and No One 093 would only become more depraved. Louis would share explicit images, express a strong desire to meet, and would consistently bring up subjects that a 13-year-old has no business talking about online. But throughout all of this, little did he know that No One 093 wasn't who he said he was. The entire persona was a setup, and the predator, Louis Conrad, had fallen straight into his trap. According to Texas law, engaging in explicit conversation with a minor is a third-degree felony, a crime that Louis Conrad had, without a doubt, heavily partook in. Because of this, on November 5th, 2006, Tarrant County PD had obtained a search warrant and set out to his home to finally arrest him. When they arrived, the police had hoped that Conrad would recognize them and come out to talk. However, his behavior wasn't so straightforward. Through his window, they could see a TV playing and a computer running, yet Louis was nowhere to be seen. And so, they break in, clear out room after room, yet once they make it to his main hallway, they discover him standing eerily still, seemingly awaiting them. Frozen in place, Lewis begins pleading, explaining that he's not gonna hurt anyone. However, before the police can react, he, out of nowhere, pulls out a handgun from behind his back, turns it on himself, and takes his own life. As the camera crew stood outside, the sound of a loud crack had broken the stillness in the air, and for a brief moment, they were unaware of the scene awaiting them inside. No one expected Louis Conrad to do this. No one expected him to prey on an underage kid. No one expected any of this.
A man who has prosecuted criminals for more than 2 decades shot himself. We watched as an emergency medical team arrived and hoped they could somehow save him. But as Conrad is brought out on a stretcher, it's clear his condition is grave.
To this day, this incident is regarded as one of the darkest in To Catch a Predator's history, and because of litigation and their dwindling relationship with advertisers, the show was canceled the following year. While most aspects of this case, like the chat logs, the phone calls, and the aftermath are readily accessible online, there is one piece of media that has, to this day, never been released. Reportedly, there's an audio tape of Conrad's final words taken from police body cameras. However, for obvious reasons, it's remained sealed away.
And I just wanted to freaking Conrad decide that whenever I get caught, this what I'm gonna do, or did he just do this rash? Did this just happen in the moment? Like, oh my God, the police about to catch me, and then he just ended his life before he thought about it. See, this one I can sympathize with a little more, Bean Team, just because of the fact, compared to the last case when the dude killed himself, just for the fact that he never killed anybody, and for all we know, he never even actually physically had any sexual involvement with kids. But you know what I'm saying? There's a little difference right there. But it's like, dude, you was doing some foul ish out here too at the same time. Let's go.
The Louis Conrad story is one of the most depraved situations that never should have happened. He was a man who knew better, a man who should have done better, a man who preyed on the most vulnerable subset of humanity. While the recording of his final moments may never see the light of day, his vile actions will forever be known, and his name immortalized as a monster that once lived among us.
Facts. Facts. He will go down forever as a freaking monster, Bean Team, and that's what he was, man. Like, that's crazy what he was doing. But damn, dude, you just ended your life. And not only, even if he wouldn't have killed himself, like physically, like literally, he ended his whole life anyway, like as far as his career and stuff, because dude was doing good. Like, dude had a great position within the government or the whatever system, the judicial system, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And you throwing it all away by talking to little kids, bro? Come on, man.
It's the early 2000s, and Silent Hill 2 haunts the world. Circuit City runs a special on camcorders, and over on CBS Channel 11, a bear enthusiast named Timothy Treadwell appears on Letterman. By every measure, Timothy Treadwell is a lifelong wildlife admirer. For the past 11 years, he's gone out of his way to live with bears native to Katmai National Park in Alaska, documenting his experiences wherever he can. Anytime this man was out in the wild, he had a camera on him and seemed to carry a remarkable lack of fear as he interacted with animals that could quite literally end his life at any moment. Throughout the 1990s, Treadwell was known to travel across the US, educating aspiring young adults on the intricacies of bears and their relationship with their natural environment. With this, he would share videos of his excursions, catalyzing an appreciation for the natural world to a new generation of young minds. These efforts would cause Treadwell to skyrocket in popularity, and by the early 2000s, he had effectively become a household name. From what it seemed, Treadwell's way of life was inherently dangerous, yet entirely rewarding. A dance with the devil at every turn, yet it was something he was massively enamored by. He felt this sense of oneness, a connection to a species that humans, for as long as we've lived, have inherently feared.
Like, this dude giving me the crocodile hunter vibes. You know what I'm saying, man? He just one with nature, and he just freaking love animals. And these particular animals that he love the most are the ones who can freaking kill you faster than any other ones. I'm thinking about Steve Irwin right now, y'all. Rest in peace to Steve. And I hope, but it seemed like we about to be having to say rest in peace to Treadwell too. I hope that's not the case, but let's see.
In October of 2003, Timothy Treadwell had convinced his girlfriend, Amy Huguenard, to venture out with him to Katmai National Park. Contrary to his other excursions, however, this one was markedly late in the year. You see, October's on the brink of hibernation season, a time in which bears are aggressively scavenging for food to get them through the winter. On top of this, there was a drought that plagued the area that year, drying up the food supply and causing an extra layer of aggression with the native wildlife. Effectively, the environment was incredibly tense. Competition ran high. Yet, even still, Timothy convinced Amy to trust him, as he was eager to continue his study of a species that he's carried a lifelong fascination with. It's been noted that Amy never wanted to go on this trip. In fact, she feared bears. Painfully so. It's the next day, and the forest is quiet. An air taxi pilot named Willie Fulton lands his plane near the couple's campsite to pick them up for their trip back home. Upon jumping out and looking around, however, Fulton quickly realizes that something isn't right. Timothy and Amy are nowhere to be seen, and all that greets him is a torn-up campsite and a bear. A very disgruntled bear. Confused by what he's witnessing and fearing for his safety, Fulton jumps back into his aircraft and calls in a report to the area's park rangers. And once they arrive, they shoot the bear dead, scour the surrounding area, and shockingly, uncover a scene completely unexpected. Throughout their campsite, the mutilated, half-eaten remains of Timothy and Amy are scattered across the ground. Their bodies have been violently torn apart. Timothy's head and arms are littered around the camp, and Amy is haphazardly buried in a pile of dirt next to their tent. That night, Timothy Treadwell and Amy Huguenard lost their lives at the hand of a wild bear. And in the 85-year history of Katmai National Park, the two of them were the first to ever die this way. While investigating the campsite, the park rangers, surprisingly, came across a camera that recorded the attack.
Oh.
Reportedly, the lens cap was left on, leaving just 6 minutes of audio at the very end of their tape depicting their final moments. To this day, this audio has never been released. However, write-ups from those who had heard it firsthand paint a picture straight out of a nightmare. It supposedly went something like this. The tape begins with the sound of Timothy outside of their tent during a storm. A bear has wandered into their camp. However, before he can react, he's violently attacked. In immense distress, he begins to scream, pleading for Amy to come to his aid. And so she unzips the tent, heads outside, and commands for Timothy to play dead. A few moments later, and believing Timothy to be deceased, the bear retreats into the dark, to which Amy, in complete shock, rushes to Timothy's aid. Understandably, she's screaming and crying. Her boyfriend, a man who spent his entire life devoted to nature, has just been brutally attacked by the very thing he loved. But as it sinks in, the bear out of nowhere returns to Timothy, grabs his body, and drags him into the dark.
Man, I just feel like they supposed to have some guns out here, being team. Just long story short story long, man. Why they ain't got that thing on them? Why don't they have a freaking weapons? Like, that's and I've been thinking this from the freaking beginning of this story. I don't know, maybe it's illegal to freaking shoot the bears in this certain park. Then don't be out there anyway then, man. Oh my God, y'all. I just feel like this could have been prevented. It's frustrating. Let's go.
Since this incident, the one and only copy of this tape has been left in the possession of Treadwell's longtime friend, Jewel Palovak, who to this day has never listened to it. And aside from the authorities, the only other person who's known to have heard it is documentarian Werner Herzog. Just a few seconds in, however, he pulled his headphones off, instructed Jewel never to listen to it, and strongly urged her to destroy it. As far as it's known, Jewel Palovak remains in possession of this fabled tape and has vowed to both keep it sealed away and to never listen to it in her lifetime. With this, the final moments of Treadwell and Huguenard's lives are shrouded in a cloud of uncertainty, leaving the world around them to eternally speculate about it. This tape, much like with Christine Chubbuck, is one of the darkest, most haunting cases of lost media that I truly believe we will never get our hands on. It's a tragedy that never should have happened. A freak incident deep in the woods. 6 minutes of audio depicting one of the most gruesome ways to die that we may never hear in our lifetime.
Man. Rest in peace, Bean Team. Rest in peace to both of them. Oh my freaking God. Do we got something else? Let me see real quick. Nah, that's it, Bean Team. I just had to make sure, man. Rest in peace to both of them. I thought more than likely it was just gonna be Treadmill. I can't remember his name, but y'all know what I'm talking about. The guy. I thought he was gonna end up passing away, but just the fact that his girlfriend actually passed away too on this camping trip because he brought her, and it's just like, man, one of y'all should have just had a gun. Like I said, long story short, story long, man. So even if he had got attacked by the bear right? When she came out of the tent, she could have pow. You get what I'm saying, BT? Like, god damn, man, I freaking hate it, y'all. But this was a great freaking video from Nexpo, y'all. I'm not gonna go back through none of it, Bean Team, because we have been here long enough. But I really enjoyed myself watching this with y'all, man. Whenever he drop another Lost Media video, we most definitely gonna have to come back to his channel. Now, from what I seen from Nexpo channel, he only dropped videos once, maybe every 2 months, every 2 months before he drop a video. You know what I'm saying? He don't drop them a lot, but I'm most definitely gonna keep an eye on this channel. I'm gonna go ahead and subscribe to his channel so I can stay up to date, Bean Team, and we most definitely gonna come back. But I digress. Like I said too, man, I'm gonna let y'all go. I appreciate y'all coming on back as always. And before you leave, just please hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and do all that if you ain't did that yet. And remember this: love, peace, and happiness. Stay safe. Don't stop. Keep going. Yeah.